Hey guys, we're here at GDC. We're sitting down with Sean Kearney of Squeezebox Software. He was the maker of One Player Pong. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
That was a fun time covering that game. And then a few years ago at GDC, he actually showed us this game called Zero Sum, which was a math-solving adventure game with full motion video. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I call it's Sudoku meets Die Hard.
Sudoku meets Die Hard is a good short term for it. But anyway, babies came into this world and kind of put this on the back burner, so it's been a while, but now we're nearly complete. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I fixed the last bug on the airplane over here.
Oh,
so
sweet. Perfect.
I believe I'll be submitting very soon.
Okay, cool. So we're going to take an updated look at Zero Sum here.
Yeah, so it's an action movie based puzzle game.
Okay.
So I'll jump into the story mode in the tutorial. So essentially the story of the game is you play as Sarah Jacobs, who's about to pop onto the screen, and she is a mathematician scientist, and her professor has cured cancer using a math algorithm, as one does. And so, as you jump through these beautiful green screen moments that I shot,
motion.
yeah, I shot in my living room.
That's so right.
With my wife.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
You can see that she's going to talk about how they finally cured cancer using a mathematical algorithm, but she's left a couple spots for you to put your touches on the equation. And so this is where we kind of set up the gameplay. And so it's pretty simple, hopefully, to explain at least. The gameplay, it's basically what you do is you tap one of these spots in between a number, and that pulls up a little selection, and you can either put a plus sign, a minus sign, or you can leave it blank.
Right.
And so what you do is you want this number to be 0.
Okay.
So right now it's 2,222. If I put a plus there, now it's 22 plus 22, it's 44.
Okay.
So if I want it to be 0, 22 minus 22 is 0.
Sweet. So you get the Zero Sum.
You get the Zero Sum.
It's all coming together.
Right?
Okay.
And so you can kind of see this one like kind of writes out what you're doing. So if I put a minus here, it's 5 minus 320, which is negative 315. Put another minus, 5 minus 3 minus 20. Put one more minus, now we're to 0.
You mean it. Okay, cool.
And so it looks a little complex, but it's one of these games that it kind of becomes a pattern matching game. In a way, because you can only put 3 different things down in between each number.
Okay.
So like right here, if you ever see a 1, you can kind of look at the next number and go, well, do the other 2 numbers equal the 12? Yes. And so what happens is after like 10 or 15 puzzles, you can start to notice these sort of like patterns.
Right.
And then in that, like, you end up just feeling kind of smart as you solve a puzzle.
And that's the part you see the Matrix.
Exactly. And so what I wanted to do was I kind of wanted to get the feeling of a movie like A Beautiful Mind, where he's like sketching on a window and like seeing stuff that isn't there. I wanted that vibe. And so like this is kind of maybe a stupid analogy, but like the way that Guitar Hero makes you feel like a rock star without actually playing guitar. I wanted this to make you feel smart without having to be smart.
Okay, I like that.
And I failed algebra in high school. I took football player math in college. I did not play football, but I took their math class. And I made this game. So it's very easy.
So if you can do it, anyone
I can
do
make
it,
the damn thing, So I'll do this little puzzle to kind of get into the next chunk of the story. So, get a little sequence. If you get a perfect score, we put down the date. I stole this from Mario Odyssey. I was playing that like 3 months ago. I was like, I need to put a date whenever something happens. That added a week to the timeline. So the way that the Die Hard-y action movie comes into the game is here. So the professor's at her lab one night, and she's finished the cure, and a well-spoken Eastern European terrorist shows up.
Great.
And he wants the cure for cancer. After a long conversation, she knows about their organization.
So she's rejecting the advances of the terrorist organization.
Exactly. They want to take the cure and sell it to make money to buy weapons or an island or, that's for your imagination.
Yes.
I couldn't come up with that. And so she says no, and unfortunately, saying no to a terrorist
it's not going to work out.
It's not going to work out. So he's a little wordy, as Hans Gruber from Die Hard is. So he basically says, you give me the algorithm, I'll spare your life. She says, nope, not going to happen.
Spoiler alert.
And he says, well,
this isn't going to turn out well for her.
This is, afraid you were going to say that.
Oh,
and
the dialogue box, hiding the gun.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
And
big
so,
plot twist.
big plot twist. So what sets up the rest of the game is the fact that as her dying, with her dying breaths, she wiped all the plus and minus signs off of the board.
Oh, that's such a setup.
And so now you, Sarah, have to add these plus and minus signs and resolve the equations and cure cancer again before the terrorists can.
Cure cancer again.
And so let me get through this. After I was shot, I managed to erase valuable parts of the equation. She wants to get to a hospital. Professor knows it's all over. There's better things.
Yeah, she's dead.
She's dead. And where this kind of came from is, like, I've been doing kids games forever and puzzle games, and I love puzzle games, and I've worked on, like, Where's My Water and Stack Rabbit, which is a game that nobody played, but it was good. But they're all kids games, and, like, I kind of got sick of, like, every puzzle game, like, taking place in, like, a gumdrop universe with sugar bears. Not that that's wrong. Like, those are cool. But I thought, man, maybe there's room for something that's a little more edgy and a little bit more just mature, not in a Leisure Suit Larry way, but in, like, I love Die Hard. I like action movies. What if I could do the puzzle games that I like with an action movie component? And when somebody said Zero Sum, a friend of mine, Jake, actually named the game. He was like, you should name it Zero Sum. And I was like, that's really funny. And then I was like, what's the most ridiculous story that can follow this silly game? So let me take you, I'm just going to take you really quick to just one more. We're going to go super late in the game. This is to show you all the mechanics that kind of drop in. So most of the cutscenes introduce a mechanic. This one's a little bit of a non sequitur because all the mechanics have been introduced already. So this is sort of a, do your best part. So this is, she's talking to the ghost of her professor who's come back to give her confidence. And, she has none. She can't figure out these on her own. And the ghost says, hey, it was you all along. It was inside you.
I love that this does not take it so seriously.
No, this is deadly serious. This is
sorry.
Based on a true story.
My mistake.
Sorry. And so she asks her, she starts, there's a little philosophical, theological debate here.
Do you just have like a million animated GIFs of your wife on your computer?
I do. And then I have the ones for this game.
Oh, right.
Which, no, so how I made this is I shot it in video and then in Premiere turned them into GIFs, ripped out the green screen, and then in Photoshop shrunk them. And it was the most painstaking, hand-done process to do something that's very...
good, though. It's so Mortal Kombat.
But yeah, I wanted that. I grew up playing Oregon Trail 2, which was like a weird one-off Oregon Trail game. And that was definitely an inspiration. And I'm bad at art, so it's sold. So in what's interesting about these puzzles is the terrorists have hacked the air conditioning in the place. So in the lab, so all of your things that you put down, your little markers, they melt.
Oh, geez.
They dissolve, and so everything goes back.
So that's logical.
Because that's how it works. Because everything's connected, with Alexa and Google Home. This is Black Mirror style stuff. So basically, you have to solve these, but you have to solve it fast. So 4 plus 3 is 7, minus 9 plus 2. And if you get it in time, you get the equation. So this is super late in the game. Earlier in the game, we start doing these crossword puzzles. But what's cool about these is they look harder on their face, but really what happens is like, if I look at this, and like I said, you see a 1, you can go, well, 17, 8 plus 9 equals 17. So you go, all right, 8 plus 9... Actually, sorry, 8 minus 9. 17 minus 8 minus 9. Well, now you know that this middle one has to be a minus. So it actually makes the other puzzles easier.
That's the Sudoku element. Almost.
Exactly. As you start to get these puzzles that look even more complex, but actually are kind of simple.
Right.
So or at least
the illusion of you feeling even smarter.
Yeah, my goal in this is to do something really dumb and make you feel really smart.
Nice.
And so it gets deeper and deeper. And I'll do this one, and then I'll show you one other thing that gets added. And now I'm really fast at these
Yes, I
because I've played this. Actually, I'm not. Like, look at this. So this is minus, minus, plus,
No, that would be
minus, plus.
Do you know this, or you just?
So
brute
this
forcing your
is
way through?
from doing a whole boatload of debugging.
Oh, jeez.
So these are handcrafted puzzles, but I'm going to show you. I have some randomized puzzle section
Okay.
too. So there's also numbers. So later on in the game, I introduced the fact that some of the puzzles, the numbers are missing. So in this one, like you put a 1 here and you go 18 minus 9 equals 0.
Wow.
And so this gets super late in the game.
Yeah.
had opportunities.
That's quite complex.
And so it gets pretty complex. But again, once you've done, I don't know, 5 puzzles, it really becomes this weird
Yeah.
seeing through the matrix sort of thing.
Yeah.
So here, let's go out to the main menu. So there's the story mode, which is about 2 hours, I'd say.
Okay.
But I also have 2 different modes. And this is, once the game started getting long in the tooth of development, I felt like I needed to add stuff to justify wasting all of my time, my spare time making this and abandoning my child.
Yeah.
So there's time trials,
Okay.
and in a time trial, basically you get 5 random puzzles. So I can jump in here. These are single equations, which are just the straight lines.
Right.
You do 5 of these, and there's a timer up in the top left, and what you're trying to do is solve in the least amount of time.
Oh, okay.
And so once you solve all 5 of these, you can then go, it posts it on the little wall with the puzzles, and you can try and beat your best time.
Yeah, cool.
And right now this isn't online. I think if there's enough interest in the game for like a 1.1, I'll use Game Center leaderboards too. And then this actually goes all the way up to the maximum equations, which are beasts.
Oh my god.
I'm not even going to attempt to solve this one right now because it's random.
Yeah.
So these ones can stump me sometimes.
Yeah. Wow.
But basically that's endless. So you can play this every time you load this. It's a different puzzle.
Yeah.
And then there's also a daily challenge.
Oh, okay.
And so the daily challenge is every day you get 10 puzzles. And there's no time limit, there's no stars, just have fun and solve it. This, while I'm talking about things I stole, was I was obsessed with Letterpress and doing their daily puzzles, and was like, why can't I do that? And so I built this system of random puzzles for this, and then realized, well, I can also pull these time trials out.
Yeah.
So in these, the puzzles are random. They're ramped. There's a little bit of a ramping of like it always starts with a 1.
Yeah.
The compliments you get are somewhat random. There's like 50 of them. If people want to post compliments that are like 3 or 4 words in the comments, I'll add them to the array.
Good to know.
And you just can basically play this 10 unique puzzles every day.
Yeah.
You can play this endlessly.
Yeah.
And then there's about 2 hours of gameplay on the story mode.
Wow. So you've got all bases covered there.
That's what I'm hoping.
And how close are we to releasing this, do you think?
So right now the iOS game is pretty much done. Like I said, I think I finished the last bug on the airplane right before we landed.
Yeah.
I have an Apple TV build that I naively was like, oh, this will take no time at all.
Okay,
And then cut to a month later.
Yeah.
It's pretty much done too. So my goal is to submit the iOS build and hopefully the Apple TV build to Apple in the next like 2 weeks.
Cool.
So I'm thinking, to play it safe for me, end of April is where I'd say it would release.
Okay.
And then I'm Android either day and date or shortly to follow, kind of the same. So it's definitely iOS end of April, probably Apple TV, and then Android within that month.
Okay.
And it's going to be premium. So I'm thinking of doing it for $1.99. But what I want to do is for every purchase of the game, I'm going to make a donation in the amount of 50% of the profits that I make to a split between 2 charities. One, the American Cancer Society, because I thought it was funny and kind of meta that you're curing cancer by actually playing the game.
You figure might as well help out.
Might as well help. And then I'm also going to donate to a COPD charity. One of the guys who helped out a ton on the game has a form of COPD, and it's one of the... It's just a disease that doesn't get a lot of recognition and fundraising.
True.
And it's definitely a tough one. So I'm gonna split between the two of that. So for $2, I'm gonna, give Apple their cut, and then split the rest between charity and, my kids' college fund.
Sure. Well, very noble of you, and looks really cool. Definitely a much more polished state than when we saw it a few years ago.
Hey, it only takes 3 years.
Yeah, it only
to
takes
polish.
3 years. So very excited this game it still lives and that it's coming soon. So we'll be looking for this sometime by the end of April.
By the end of
we'll say?
April? Yeah.
Looks very cool. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Jared.